صباح الخير. أنا نيفين ضياء الدين حسن، أستاذ مساعد في أكاديمية الفنون، تخصص لغة وأدب إنجليزي. النهاردة إن شاء الله أنا هتناقش معاكم في ورقة بحثية، وده في إطار مشاركتي في المؤتمر السادس لأكاديمية الفنون، وهو بعنوان الفنون المصرية وتأصيل الهوية والانتماء الوطني. الورقة البحثية ديت طبعا هي هتكون باللغة الإنجليزية، وهي اللغة اللي أنا كتبت بيها البحث، وهي بعنوان Scenes of Egyptian Countryside, a Consolidation of Egyptian Nubian Identity in عبد الحكيم قاسم, The 7 Days of Man, and محمد خليل قاسم الشمندورة. مشاهد من الريف المصري، تأصيل الهوية المصرية في روايتي أيام الإنسان السبعة لعبد الحكيم قاسم والشمندورة لمحمد خليل قاسم. Now I will start with the research paper outline. The researcher is concerned with an analysis of vivid images of El Bandara, a village in the western governorate of Tanta, and Qatta, a village in Nubia in southern Egypt in the 1930s and around the 1950s. In the village novel in modern Egyptian literature, Ami Elad defines and traces the history of village novels. Muhammad Hussein Heikal's novel Zainab is the most notable early example of the genre of village novel. The village novel takes the Egyptian countryside as its main context. Elad discusses the main literary features of the village novels. He believes that the village novels are characterized by, now I am quoting him, the use of highly articulated artistic devices to depict social and political reality in the countryside. In the two novels, the researcher employs some aspects of Henry Tashville and John Turner's social identity theory, such as definition of social group, the social identification model, the social cohesion model, and self-concept. The researcher believes that both Tanta and Nubian villagers are aware of their social cohesion and similarity to their communities, which drives them to act as group members and to belong to a social group. Now I will turn to some points for further discussion. Qasim's novel is titled The 7 Days of Man, which is based on Ibn Arabi's famous book The 7 Days of the Heart. Therefore, Qasim divides his novel into 7 chapters: the evening gathering, the baking, the journey, the lodgings, the big night, the farewell, and the boss. Hence, the researcher traces and gives a brief discussion of the Sufi thoughts which affect Qasim's literary technique of the novel. Qasim relates the Sufi mystical journey of Tanta villagers to their quest for spiritual freedom from socio-economic oppression. As members of the same social group, Qasim stresses the oneness and cohesion between the villagers or the Sufi brothers, who cannot deviate from each other. The writer introduces a number of characters like Ahmed Badawi, Ali Khalil, and Muhammad Kamil, so as to give examples of their sense of affinity and togetherness, which is similar to their common belief in the Sufi idea of mystical oneness. Qasim gives detailed depictions of the life of the villagers and their personal dilemmas, like the story of Ahmad Badawi, who has lost his two boys due to a cholera infection. This pertains to an understanding of the social identification model and a knowledge of the self and other group members. Discussing the psychology of group relationships or intergroup relations, Qasim narrates incidents which depict collective action between the villagers. For instance, a notable example of the villagers' collective action is the women's annual gatherings at tombs on the eve of the feast. The presence of the two characters of Sheikh and Abu Grida helps the villagers to gain self-knowledge and to be aware of the religious ideology of their social group. Consequently, Qasim's novel portrays the cooperative behavior of the social group of the villagers who act as an interdependent community that is eager to revolt against their oppressive socio-economic conditions. In El Shamandura, which is the second novel in my study, Khalil Qasim exaggerates the spiritual bond between Nubians and their ancestral land. Hence, the palm trees which grow on the Nile banks are indicative of the Nubian national identity and the history of Nubia or Kingdom of Kush. Khalil Qasim documents Nubian traditions of marriage, funerals, births, and religious celebrations so as to preserve history of his nation. Facing displacement, Nubian history is endangered due to the construction of the high dam in Aswan. Khalil Qasim's depictions of the Nubian traditions create social cohesive bonds between Nubians and forge their sense of affiliation to the same ethnic social group. It is obvious that Khalil Qasim creates communal bonds between Nubians and highlights how they have feelings of nationalism and devotion to the land as a counter-reaction to the salience of their group identity and their displacement. A discussion of the intergroup relations can be related to the rituals of traditional Nubian marriage. The groom is surrounded with his comrades so as to give him social support, which is taken as an example of cultural uniformity. Moreover, the group departure of the Nubian male villagers to Cairo or Alexandria shows their social cohesion. Khalil Qasim stresses that Nubian villagers take collective actions in all their traditional rituals. A notable example is that of Batta, who shares with Haguba, her stepmother, the process of baptizing the newborn baby. Moreover, as an example of social cohesion, the writer introduces the character of Kullu. His presence shows the close intergroup relationships which he shares with the villagers and their children. Qasim's description of Kullu's physical features, such as his dark skin color, kind face, and kinky hair, shows that he is one with the social class of Nubian villagers. In order to develop her literary critical analysis of the two novels, the researcher reads a number of significant books and articles such as the 7 days of the heart, prayers for the nights and days of the week, the Nubian exodus, and social identity and intergroup relations. Hence, the researchers' commentary on the chosen paragraphs of the two novels, which expound glimpses of the Sufi rituals, personal life, and the traditions of the villagers, have connotations to either spiritual freedom or rebirth of the Nubian identity. إن شاء الله تكونوا استمتعتوا بالإلقاء دوت للورقة البحثية بتاعتي، وإن شاء الله أنا بتطلع للمشاركة في المستقبل في مؤتمرات قادمة في أكاديمية الفنون. Thanks.